the wisdom of generations of women to help you have more joy every day. The Wisdom Coalition program begins right now.
My hair color is going to change, my body changes, my psyche changes, my faith changes, my relationships change, everything changes.
Resisting change is one of those real key areas of our lives that both professionally and personally can kind of stunt our ability to move in the ways that we need to move.
How to embrace the changes in your life and make the most of them.
Welcome to the Wisdom Coalition program. I'm Nancy Wertine.
And I'm Kim Howie. Thank you for joining us.
You know, one thing certain about all of our lives is that our lives are constantly changing.
Mm-hmm. And change can be frightening, but it can also be exciting. Research shows that the better we are at handling change, the happier we'll be.
Change certainly can be difficult, especially when change is unexpected.
Rubbing elbows with A-list celebrities like Lady Gaga, Stephanie Stevens cultivated a life as an event planner in New York City, far away from her Lehigh Valley roots. But with the passing of her parents, she inherited a 268-acre historic property in Lower Milford Township that was her childhood home. She had to make a decision, sell it, or leave the life she knew and find a way to turn that change into an opportunity. She went with her heart and flipped her life inside out to create Bellgate Farm.
I wanted to make sure that this barn basically turned into a Madison Square Garden.
A new event center with a focus on history, hospitality, and a legacy of conservation that she hopes will make her daughter proud.
Joining us now is Stephanie Stevens, owner of Bellgate Farms. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, you've had a pretty wild ride the last few years. How would you say that you have managed all of those changes in your life?
Wow, that's a good question. I think by putting one foot in front of the other, certainly, and just taking everything day by day. I've encountered the kinds of life changes that are the most remarkable. If you talk to any healthcare professional, they will say the biggest changes in your life, the most traumatic, are a big move, the loss of a family member, the birth of a child. All of those things happened very quickly, one by one. And so it put me in a very difficult situation, and I had to find a way to make the best of it.
Well, in that change, I'm sure there were things that were holding you back from making the change and also things that helped you move forward. Can you share some of those with us?
Well, first of all, I think having my daughter really inspired me to do just that, put one foot in front of the other, because you have to. You are responsible for a living being now, and she has brought so much joy to my life. And in a lot of respects, Bellgate Farm is a lifetime of legacy and love, and we've talked about that before, and how important it was to save the family home that I grew up in and its acreage that is still being farmed today, and still be able to support my daughter as a single mother. So really, knowing that I had such great experience as an event producer made me the ideal candidate to put together an event center using Bellgate. And so I just went through the process of finding the right people to work, on that project, and got it all in order and started the ball rolling, and now we're just open.
So great. Thank you. You know, in researching this topic about change, I read that for a lot of people, for most of us, when we go through a change, we have to sort of grieve for what we left behind, for that old life. Did you feel some of that? Because you did have to leave a life that was pretty exciting.
Yes, exciting but different. I was ready to be a mom, and I couldn't do that in my last job. I was traveling constantly, and there wasn't any room to bring a baby in that kind of lifestyle, working 80, 90 hours a week, most weeks. I never had the opportunity to grieve the loss of my mother, which was really difficult. I think that was the most difficult thing. I had to just keep going. So now I'm able to kind of refresh myself and really in the development of Bellgate Farm, that was the way that I grieved. It was keeping their memory alive and creating a place that people could work at and inspire others to have an amazing job somewhere they would really want to go, and create that familial environment without the risk of, oh no, I too have to go and I have to go grocery shopping, or the dog is sick, and not worry about having to lose their job, but to be able to create an environment. And through that and all of that change helped me get through the worst parts of what had happened, the death of my mother, which was catastrophic, and being a single mom, which was unexpected.
Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. We will be talking to you again a little bit later in the show.
Thank you.
But you can go to our website, thewisdomcoalition.com, and continue the conversation online.
But first, more reflections on this topic from our well of wisdom.
I had a divorce, an empty nest, and cancer all at the same time. And my life, there was nothing that was going to be the same. And in order for me to move on and move out of the depression that I was in for all those three things together, I needed to reinvent myself and create new opportunities for myself, new mindsets.
When I was 7, I had a family structure and I had everyone together. And then when my dad passed away, everything changed.
Welcome back.
Our next guest is Tina McGovern. You are a women's empowerment and success coach from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
So why would you say that change can be so challenging for many people?
I think change is so challenging because we get ourselves in this, what I like to call a mental fence. And in that mental fence, think of like your backyard. You know, you have the fence up to keep either your children in, the dogs in, or other people out. And so we get stuck in complacency where we're okay with where we're at. And change is difficult because we don't want to break the mental fence down. But once we do, it's beautiful on the other side. And so it's very difficult, however, to be willing to take that fence down and see what comes in and then let out as well.
Oh, I love that visual.
Me
That's
too.
wonderful. So at the Wisdom Coalition, we talk all the time about the importance of positive thinking. What do you think is the benefit of having a positive mindset around change?
Absolutely. So positive thinking is of paramount importance because we have to have that abundance mindset. And so when we're going through kinds of different changes in our life, whether it be personal, professional, if we don't have that positive mindset, it's very easy to get into that negative spiral. You know, that you're just focusing on the negative. And, you know, law of attraction, what you put out to the universe is what you get back. And so when you think positively, you're going to have positivity back.
In his new book, Conquer, Change, and Win, Ralph Massengill Jr. says, obstacles properly handled can be the best thing that ever happens to you. Would you agree with that statement?
I absolutely agree because personally I've gone through some change in my life from some different obstacles that I've had to overcome. And when you're willing to take on that change as an opportunity, as opposed to looking at it as more of a challenge or a setback, you take a step back at whatever's happened in your life and you then change that. And you're like, okay, well, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What opportunities are now open for me that was not available before this happened? I really, truly believe everything happens for a reason. And so we're led down this path. And so when that change does happen, you're able to conquer it because you look at the opportunity and the positives of it.
I love that. I love that. Well, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit here. You know, as women, we have lots of physical and emotional changes during our lifetime. So, you know, from puberty to childbirth to menopause, you know, how would you counsel someone who's struggling with those types of changes? You know, I remember having my first child. It was, you know, you kind of lose a little bit of sense of self.
You do, and you know, and I have 2 children as well, and so I completely understand, you know, what that's like. And I don't think people really fully tell you, you know, what's going to happen when that happens. You know, you can read all the books that you'd like, but it doesn't really prepare you. You do use a little bit of sense of self. But again, it's a new chapter in your life.
And it's all about embracing that different chapter that you're going through, and to really focus on that positive. You know, having a child definitely changes everything for you. You know, you don't have sleep, you don't have that time freedom, but again, you're bringing, you know, you brought that new life into the world, and you're teaching them what you're doing. You're teaching them how to live life, how to live an abundant life, to focus on the positive things. And so, you know, even though it's very difficult and change is hard, I think personal development also comes into play. You know, a couple years ago when I went through some changes in my life, a couple years ago I wasn't in a good mindset, you know, and I think personal development is huge. And so don't wait until something changes in your life to, you know, kick things into gear. I think learning and reading a wonderful book that I love is Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. I love that book, and in the first 20 pages you have so many aha moments, and I think you know, personal development is a big deal to get through those types of changes, whether it's childbirth or you know, different kinds of personal and professional changes in your life.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being with us, Tina.
Thanks so much for having me.
When we come back, Stephanie will join us once again to talk a little bit more about how to handle the changes in your life.
But first, some more reflections on this topic from our Well of Wisdom.
I'm a big believer in being a lifelong learner. And if we embrace the idea of being a lifelong learner, then we look at our lives as an adventure. What's the adventure that's in front of me right now? And what's the change? What's the opportunity that's here that I could step into and learn from?
Thanks for joining us once again.
Tina and Stephanie join us to continue our conversation. And Tina, I wanted to ask you, for someone like Stephanie, there had to come a time when she realized after all that change that her life would be not just okay, but great even. And you call that the aha moment.
I do.
Tell me a little bit about that.
So I think once you have this breakthrough or this aha moment, I feel like there's a weight that's lifted off of your shoulder. You almost feel free, and you feel like, okay, what was I even concerned about in the first place? You know, it's that struggle going through the change, but once you break through and you get there, it's beautiful on the other side of that change.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, and at the Wisdom Coalition, we're really building a collaborative community, and we think that that's really important to have support of other women and support in life, and particularly during change. Did you find that to be true for you, Stephanie?
100%. I think when you're talking about the aha moment, that happened for me when I was standing outside of my mother's memorial, and I had just given the eulogy, and obviously that was a very emotional time. And I was standing outside, and I remember hearing people inside saying, there's no way that she's going to be able to save this house. She's going to have to sell it and move on. And my baby kicked, and this light bulb moment, that aha moment happened for me, where I thought, no way, that's not going to happen to me. I'm gonna make lemonade out of lemons, and I'm gonna do this by turning Bellgate Farm into an event venue. And through that process, I have met so many wonderful people, and I have brought them so close to me, and have surrounded myself with the love of friendship, the love of my daughter, and that gets me through the really tough moments. You were saying before that everything happens for a reason, and I truly, truly believe that. There is a reason why I was an event producer in my, former life, as I call it, and so many positive things have happened as a result of my changing, and yeah.
You know, the Harvard Business Review says there's a few main reasons that people resist change, okay? That's loss of control, fear of failure, fear of the unknown, and because change can be painful. So if we recognize these obstacles, do you think that that's how we can move forward without fear of change?
I do, you know, because you mentioned failure. I don't believe in failure. I believe that you try something, and then if it doesn't go your way, you learn from it. I don't believe in failure. I believe in learning opportunities. And so I think if we have, again, that kind of mindset, that we look at the positives of things, we can go beyond our wildest dreams.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and one of my favorite quotes is, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so if you choose to look at change as an opportunity, then it will be more exciting. And I think that's probably the case for you, Stephanie.
100%. And we have a rule in our house that my daughter will sometimes say, I can't open this. And I say, never say can't. There's just a different way of doing it. So try and find the way that works best for you. And that you're right on point in that, absolutely.
Well, what about resisting change? I mean, we've talked about these changes that you had in your personal life. We have changes in our professional life. And I think that for many of us, and I've heard people say, well, yeah, I don't like this situation, but I don't know how bad the other situation is going to be, so I don't want to change this one. So is resistance to change sometimes our biggest obstacle?
I think it is, because you know, we are afraid of what's going to happen, because we don't know. You know, the unknown is obviously unknown. And so, you know, we're afraid to kind of take that step. You know, you hear, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But guess what? You could be missing out on something so incredible on the other side if you just knock down those resistance walls and just go for it, you know?
I've never been afraid of change. I've always,
good for you.
Yeah.
That's why we're having you on the show.
Yeah, I've always embraced it. And my father always used to say, and I think it's really good advice, if you're thinking about a change in career or anything else, but if that terrifies you, but you know you can do it and you can do anything, then do it, because it's the right choice for you. Don't stop doing something because you're afraid of it. Embrace it, like you said, and learn from it. You're going to make mistakes. People always ask me, oh, God, I messed that up. And I said, no, you didn't. You learned from it. And we move on. And so I think that's really important. That was huge for me, that he gave me that wisdom. And so it's a little bit different, that I've never been afraid of change, but that's not to say that while I'm going through the change, it wasn't difficult.
Right, correct.
Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we hope that you'll join us in just a moment for a cup of tea in the kitchen.
And some tips on how to keep everything organized in the midst of change.
I have to let myself grieve. I'm a very emotional person. If I don't let all that negativity out, to me it's almost like a poison. I harbor it and harbor it and harbor it, and it gets worse and worse and worse. If I don't let it go, I have a real hard time moving forward.
Welcome back. Our kitchen guest is Colleen Warmingham. You are a minimologist. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
We're so happy that you're here today, Colleen. You're going to talk to us today about the avalanche in the kitchen and how to prevent that.
Yes, let's prevent the avalanche in the kitchen.
Nobody wants to get hit in the head.
Yeah. So tell us about, where do we have the most problems with, things falling down on us?
Well, certainly spices is one of them that my clients will talk to me about, a whole bunch of little bottles, and you can usually see on a shelf at the front for you, but the ones in behind can be really difficult. So one of the ways I like to do that is with some kind of basket or box, and then we label the top so that when you pull it down off of the counter or out from a lower shelf, it's easy to see what's inside.
Which is brilliant. That's ridiculously brilliant.
Yeah, so they label the sides of it, but that's not the side that we're looking at. We're usually looking at the top. So
no, that's so smart. So we should try that.
Yeah, so you have us set up to do some labeling.
Right, we've got two different ways of doing labeling. For people who really like to have their kitchen look very nice, you might want to do it with a label maker so that it looks really pretty. And if you're just kind of in a hurry and want to do it quick and dirty so that you can get on with the rest of your life, then Nancy, what you've got is just some sticky tape and a pen. And do it very quickly.
Yeah, we've brought our own spices, so we're going to start to label away to try to make this be a little bit better in our kitchens. Why do you think that spices in this area is one of the things? I know I have something that spins, and it still isn't that easy sometimes to find things. Why do you think that this is an area that's difficult in the kitchen?
Oh, because of the domino effect. The spices don't weigh very much, and so it's very easy to knock them over, and as soon as one goes down, they just take the rest of them down like dominoes. So that's part of why I like to use a box for them. Once you're done labeling a couple of them, I'm going to put you into some kind of box or container. And then that way, if things jiggle a little bit, it's no big deal. And if they fall over, they're still contained within your box.
Okay, I'm having trouble. I couldn't even figure out how to use the pen, so.
I love retractable pens because then you can't lose the cap.
Oh, see, that's why you're more organized than all the rest of us.
Smart, so smart.
I've lost a lot of caps over the years.
Well, and that domino effect, my husband always calls it the house of cards. So I reach into the cabinet and everything falls out.
Everything
it's like
goes
a house
down.
of cards.
Yes, yes.
While we're labeling, what other areas do we sometimes have trouble with in the kitchen? I know that you and I were just talking about what we both did this weekend with travel mugs.
Oh goodness, travel mugs, it's the same thing. And again, it's because they're kind of lightweight. And so it's very easy. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you your boxes. Excuse me as I reach across, give Nancy a box.
Thank you.
So I'll do this with travel mugs. It's very typical. We tend to like to put them upright in a cabinet, and that's great if your cabinets are tall enough. I just moved into an apartment with a small kitchen, and the shelves are really short, so I can't get things upright, and I'm really short, so I can't reach in the back. So what I recommend in situations like that is put them horizontal, again, in a box. And then if you can limit yourself to just 1 or 2 items per person, maybe just one to be clean, one to be dirty, now you've got this, and again, you can put it up on a shelf or put it into a lower cabinet, and it's very easy to get out.
You know, and isn't that one of the things we do too? I went to go for a travel mug, and I must have 20 up there. Seriously, do I need that many?
You travel a lot, though.
And if they're plastic and lightweight, just like the spices, they will go down like dominoes. So trying to contain them, or maybe even using a larger box. If you really can't bring yourself down to just 1 or 2, then a larger box like this, maybe you can do. Now I've got a travel mug, a small thermos, a little travel cup, and a water bottle, and all of that. So I've got 4 items in there, and that's usually enough for one person.
I like that water
Well,
bottle.
perfect.
It is. It's nice because then it folds. This is when it folds up when. So when it's empty, it just fits
Well,
into
we're
your
going to
purse.
finish this, but we thank you so much for being with us and for these great helpful hints.
Oh, yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah. And you can continue the conversation online at our website, thewisdomcoalition.com.
Thanks for joining us.
Go out and spread some joy today.